Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you today. I would like to thank the Scientific Council for the Information Society and the Hellenic Data Protection Authority for their kind invitation. This conference coincides with the United Nations Summit on Climate Change in Paris, the greatest ever diplomatic effort to address a man-made problem which puts future generations of men and women at extreme risk. The physical environment is the most pressing challenge facing us all. It is the result of decisions which have been taken in the name of industrial progress. It is innovation, beginning with the internal combustion engine in the 18th and 19th centuries, that has had such a transformative effect on human prosperity and a result of the human rights movement, human freedom. But the decision to burn fossil fuels to power industry and mass consumption has resulted in devastating externalities. We are now starting to count the cost. At last, there is a global consensus that we cannot continue on this trajectory. I believe that in the digital environment we are witnessing a similar rude awakening. Indeed, data has been described as the pollution problem in the information age, and protecting privacy is the environmental challenge. Every day we create 2.5 quintillion, a billion bytes of data. An average visit to a single website results in over 50 instances of data collection. Already 2 years ago, we were told that 90% of all data in the world was generated in the previous 2 years. And that is before the Internet of Things takes off. There are now 4.8 billion connected devices. By 2020, there will be 25 billion. Telemedicine, vehicles, smart meters, sensors for smart cities. And yet, in a Eurobarometer survey this year, it has been revealed that 6 out of 10 citizens do not trust online businesses. 2/3 are concerned at not having complete control over the information they provide online. 7 out of 10 being concerned about their information being used for a different purpose from the one it was collected for. And finally, 2/3 thinking it is important to be able to transfer personal information from an old service provider to a new one. This is the background for the European Union General Data Protection Regulation. This package has now been the subject of intense negotiation for almost 4 years. It is a fine example of the maxim attributed to Otto von Bismarck. Laws are like sausages. It is better not to see them being made. But now we can be confident that Council and European Parliament, only a few weeks away from political agreement. Data protection is a democratic value and it can reinforce democracy in the digital age. The European reform aims to harmonize the standards according to which personal data are processed. It's a long and complex piece of legislation which will probably remain in force for a generation, for the next 20-30 years, assuming that its lifespan follows that of the 1995 directive. It is impossible to predict how digital technology will have transformed our society in 20 times by 2035. When the 1995 Data Protection Directive was adopted, no one could have imagined the reach of the Internet into every aspect of our lives, of that each of us would be carrying out around a powerful personal computer, the form of a smartphone in our pockets. Technology should be a force for good. This is why I have urged the lawmakers in the Parliament and in the Council to ensure that the new rules enable technology to flourish. The European Union's data protection framework is meant to facilitate data flows, not to obstruct them. But data protection rules are necessary in order to safeguard individuals against unfair decisions using information about them. The rules enable us to be free to develop our own personalities, to participate, to exercise our freedoms in a democratic society. Allow me to offer some reflections on the substance of the reform which is now taking place. The European Data Protection Supervisor, as an independent institution in the EU, firmly supports the aim of harmonizing rules on data protection in the European Union. We now have a unique opportunity to strengthen data subjects' rights and accountability of data controllers in public and private sectors, to better protect fundamental rights and freedoms in a modernized way, to lead by example around the world with global partnerships in the interest of the individual. In other words, I see a window of opportunity to apply existing principles more effectively in the world of big data. This will require contribution from all of you, since the regulation will be complemented by national provisions on specific areas of data protection, such as e-government, welfare, and in democracy. So this is a fantastic opportunity for us to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, data protection is not per se about privacy. Privacy is a separate right in the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the EU. Data protection is about power. Who does what and how they do it responsibly and accountably. This is why data protection is such an integral bulwark of our democracy. Democracy depends on trust and legitimacy. We need to be sure that the expression of popular will in the ballot box exercised by every citizen during elections is freely given and genuine. Those are principles which data protection supports. With e-democracy, the potential and challenges of the digital environment are magnified onto an almost existential scale. Technology can now open up new opportunities for popular participation in government and holding government accountable. But technological solutions, e-voting, can also be attacked and disrupt, undermining the legitimacy of results. A hacked election would be devastating for democracy. The answers to these challenges will be discussed today and tomorrow. Data security will be a recurring topic. With the GDPR, integrating privacy by design in product development will become an integral requirement for data controllers, not an optional extra. That is why we are bringing together engineers, developers and legal experts to generate ideas and fresh thinking with the Internet Privacy Engineering Network, or IPEN. This conference consists of a rich program of topics and excellent speakers. My colleague and I in the office of the European Data Protection Supervisor would very much like to hear of your conclusions and for information for what is planned next. Thank you for listening.